1989, the year in which they burst through the Berlin Wall but died in Tiananmen Square. The year that the Queen went green and the fashions went soft. The year that we became a grandmother and our Chancellor resigned. The year that Frank Bruno lost and Desert Orchid won. Relive an historic 12 months with Review 1989 tomorrow night at 10 o'clock on BBC1.
In half an hour, BBC1's in Brittany for a comedy of camping pitched at the Brits Abroad, Bull Trap on the Cote Sauvage, starring Miranda Richardson, Jack Shepherd and Zoe Wanamaker. And that's after the news, now on BBC1 with Martyn Lewis. It's 9 o'clock.
Romania's new leaders say they'll never return to communism and promise free democratic elections. In the warren of secret tunnels Ceaucescu built under Bucharest, a deadly hunt for those security police ignoring the latest ultimatum to surrender or die. Read all about it, Romanian stampede for the first uncensored news for 40 years. And US Army barricades ring Noriega's hideaway after the Vatican refuses to hand him over. Good evening. The Romanian people have been told by their new leaders that their country will never return to communism. Vice President Dumitru Mazilu has confirmed that there will be elections in April to establish a free and democratic state. And he defended the execution of former President Ceaucescu as a necessity during a time of revolution. Members of Ceaucescu's secret police, the Securitate, are ignoring a new ultimatum to give themselves up or die. Many are still hiding in the maze of secret tunnels they built under Bucharest. Michael Stewart and a BBC camera crew joined the underground hunt for the men they call the terrorists.
In the very centre of Bucharest, the new democracy is now more or less secure. But beneath these same streets sits a quite different matter. This is another war, fought in a secret city of apparently endless concrete tunnels. These are the last boat holes for Ceaucescu's secret police. It's a terrifying place, although the army has now begun the appallingly dangerous job of clearing the tunnels. There are quite probably hundreds of miles of them under the city, and hardly anyone knew they were here. This lift descended to the most secret place of all, from Ceaucescu's bedroom in the palace above to his personal bunker deep underground. There was clearly a hasty departure. Here, the remains of a meal abandoned in the fighting last week. The bodyguards wanted for little down here. They left behind them more meat in this refrigerator than most Romanians see in a year. This shows the length that the people down here were prepared to go to. This is the main filtration room. It's capable of keeping the air clean and pure for who knows how long. Hundreds of Securitate could live down here, and many of them still are. Anyone caught down here is very likely to be a terrorist. There's no reason for civilians to be here. The first thing they look for is a cyanide capsule sewn into the collar of the jacket. Nothing this time, but the different sorts of ID papers pointed to this man being one of Ceaucescu's policemen. Perhaps a deserter, who knows? Although the fresh fruit may well have been intended for the Securitate. No one really has any idea how extensive this network really is. New tunnels are found almost round every corner. It's a very tense place to be, although this time there was no doubting the danger behind those steel doors at the top of the stairs, and we had to get out fast.
Do you know who they were? I can't find out with you here. It's too dangerous.
The tunnels didn't save Ceaucescu, but it seems the labyrinth he built for his own final stand will for some time remain the last refuge for his most fanatical supporters. Michael Stewart, BBC News, Bucharest.
President Gorbachev telephoned his congratulations today to the head of Romania's new provisional government. He promised Ion Iliescu, an old university friend, the full support of the Soviet Union on the road to renewal. Mrs. Thatcher sent a message of support. She spoke of the extraordinary courage of the Romanian people. And President Bush said he was amazed and respectful of the change that has taken place, adding, "We were concerned that the trial of Ceaucescu should have been more open, but that's their matter." More pictures have been shown of the tribunal that sentenced the Romanian president and his wife to death. Kate Adey reports from Bucharest.
A final performance. Nicolae and Elena Ceaucescu, defiant and unrepentant. Questioned by an unseen military tribunal at a barrack some distance from Bucharest, they were at times disdainful, sometimes aggressive, to the very end.
Turilor străine, dar celor care au dat lovitura de stat, trebuie poporul mergând la distrugerea independenței României.
Dumneata nu se poate stabili un dialog civilizat, rațional. Pentru în continuare considerăm că este o jignire adusă poporului român.
The people they deceived and oppressed have been watching, many faces filled with disbelief. Their lives had been dominated in every way by the regime. They heard the couple refuse to stand to hear the verdict. Then the proof that sentence had been carried out. These print workers were amongst the first to join the revolution, bringing out a new newspaper, Freedom, in the midst of fighting. And the new papers have new content. Straight reports of daily events and a catalogue of past abuse, which has hardened resolve that others will be brought to trial. News is lapped up on the streets, information about reform, the repeal of the hated laws on abortion and the destruction of traditional villages, and tidbits of Ceaucescu life, daughter Zoe's golden kitchen scales. Even those who edit those papers confess to surprise.
This huge amount of things who were discovered in their houses. No, nobody knew that.
What is the difference between the newspapers you used to write for and what you are now writing?
The difference is like between the sun and the dark.
Behind the euphoria, there's a desperate need to bring some order. The streets are crowded today, no shooting reported, but scores of random checkpoints and much suspicion about secret police, terrorists. The provisional government has announced that they have until tomorrow night to surrender or face a firing squad. Such announcements are made on television, for no one sits in the great National Assembly, which anyway was a mere notional government. Ceaucescu used to come to the National Assembly and sit here, watching while 369 deputies rubber-stamped his decrees. There was no discussion, no argument, everything was fixed in advance. But in April, these seats should be filled through free democratic elections, a time welcomed by the caretakers and cleaners at present guarding the building.
It will be new people, new laws, dialogue, real democracy. Everybody will have the possibility to speak his mind and his conscience and his ideas and his thoughts.
At the moment, there are just plans for democracy, and there is little practical political structure, just ideals. Kate Adey, BBC News, Bucharest.
In the town where the uprising against